What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's Time Wizard Tuesday. A couple things on the slate for today. I'm going to talk about my Dino Rabbit list that won our local April 2012 tournament this past week. And then we're going to talk about what changes need to be made for the September 2012 tournament that's coming up next month. And then I'm going to show a 2014 match because the next tournament series that we're doing in Minnesota is for Nats 2014. So got those three things on the plate. Start with 2012, so we'll get right into my deck profile from my undefeated run at the April 2012 tournament. Alright, so here is the Dino list that I played this past week. Triple Rabbit, of course, 6 of the Vanillas, 3 Saber, 3 Kaba. I did not get my hands on Jurak Guaibas. I do like Guaiba in the main deck quite a bit. I think it's really good. I couldn't find any, so instead of 3 Guaiba, I just played 2 Thunder King. This ended up being pretty decent for me. It was fine. But I think, especially if I'm going second, I would have preferred a Guaiba over a Thunder King. But I ended up winning all my die rolls, so I guess this worked out. Because I won all my die rolls in this tournament and drew Thunder King a few times going first, so we take those. I played 3 Tour Guide, 1 Sangan, and then I main decked Gores and 2 Maxi. So coming back into this format, I'm still unused to playing with Gores, playing around Gores, not projecting Gores, things like that. All of that is really important, and I don't feel like I was doing it very well. I don't know. I didn't draw Gores once, I guess, so it's not that I wasn't doing it well as far as like not projecting. I had it when I did, but playing around it, playing into it, I definitely wasn't doing that as well as I could have, and I never got punished for it, which is nice. But I feel like if you're going to play badly with this card, you probably just shouldn't play it, right? Like, so this might move to the side, and I know some people were siding it, but it's a really good card when you're using it right. That's the monster lineup. I wasn't playing Effect Veiler. Nobody there was playing windups, so I wasn't worried about getting hand loop. And I guess like in most tournaments, I'm not gonna like know that, right? Like I'm not gonna know that, oh, nobody's playing windup, so I don't have to play Effect Veiler in my main deck. Even though it's like okay against Rabbit because this tournament was post priority. I just put it in the side. I played 2 Lance and 2 MST, and the reason I did this is because I had a feeling that this tournament was going to be a decent amount of like Chaos Dragon, and I was mostly right. They were the most represented decks were Chaos Dragon and Heroes. I think everything else was a one-of. There was a Dino Rabbit, there was an Anti-Meta, there was a Dark World. These would have been a 3rd Lance and a 3rd MST would have been good against the hero deck in the main, but I opted instead to main deck 2 D Fisher along with the 2 macro that was pretty standard across the board. So I wanted to kind of like just, if I had the opportunity to go first, be able to set these up right away, or if I didn't have the opportunity to go first, hoping they open a little slow, maybe they didn't get to charge or solar recharge right away, and then if I could establish one of these, I felt like I'd be able to really control the game. So I main decked all 4 of these instead of just siding the D Fisher, just because of what I thought I was going to see in the room that day, and it was fine. I played 1 Soul Taker, 1 Book, Reborn, Heavy, Dark Hole. I know some people were playing 2 of these. I was for a while, but I was trying to cut down on cards in the main deck too. I think I ended up playing 40 cards. 41. I think I played 41 cards. So I didn't want to play more than 40, but I didn't really spend a lot of time trying to figure out what to cut, so that's okay. That's a spell lineup. Then for traps, I did double bottomless, double torrential, double warning, double deep prison, and then double macro, and then the one-ofs, judgment and road. I don't know that there's much not standard about this. I think Fiendish Chain is probably the trap that you see kind of like in and out of people's decks in this format, if I recall correctly. Like, not everybody was playing it, not everybody was siding it, but some people definitely were. So I think that's the card that, or the next trap to consider, other than Mirror Force, which I was siding instead of maining. I wanted D-Prison in the main instead because of cards like this. If you open Mirror Force and they open Starlight Road, they can push into a Mirror Force with multiple monsters if they have this, and I don't like that. That's the main deck. Other cards I was considering in the main were Effect Veiler, Grand Mole. I know in his Yu-Gi-Oh! History profile for this deck, Joe Girlando played this card, and for the most part I really like it, but I didn't play it in this tournament. I'm not sure why. And then I already explained why I didn't play Effect Veiler. I sided Effect Veiler instead. For the extra deck, I think this is pretty standard. 2 Lalia, 2 Dolka. And then the rest of the 4s, Roach, Photon Pap, Utopia. Utopia Ray might not be completely standard, but I know it was played a decent amount. And then this tournament was late April, so it was after Priority, and it was after Exceed Symphony, so we played the Maestroke, because that had just been released. And then for the 3s, 2 Levier, 1 Zenmains, Acid Golem, Leviathan, and then the other Jin, the Tempo. Because, again, the structure deck had just been released, and these were really good cards to play because this one was insane against Zenmains. If you didn't have access to a Dolka to push through the 2 Zenmains materials, you can just make a rank 3 and detach them anyway. For the side deck, I played 2 Snowman Eater. I had to give 1 back, so 2 Snowman. 1 Kaiku. I sided the 3rd Lance and MST and the 2nd Soul Taker. And I put this in probably every match. I sided this in every match that I played, because I played against anti-meta with like Fossil Dinos and Doom Cows and stuff. And then I played against Dark World. So if Grapha was on the field, I just wanted an easy way to out it. More easy ways to out it. And then I played against Hero with like the Hero control, like the Thunder Kings. And so like if you went into fusion plays that didn't kill me, I wanted to be able to out the big monsters under skill drain, especially. So I sided this in every match. We'll consider playing 2 in the main deck again, probably, if we ever do 2012 again, and I play Rabbit. I sided the 2 Mirror Forces, and then I sided 2 Effect Veilers because I didn't have room for a 3rd, and there wasn't anything here I wanted to take out. I think all these cards are good. 2 Cyber Dragon, Fortress, and then 2 Shadow Mirrors. I wanted a 3rd, but I couldn't find a 3rd, so I only had 2. I don't know what this card is good for. I just remember seeing this in like everybody's side deck, so it was in my side deck. I didn't play it. I didn't put it in at all. Yeah, and that was that. The other card I considered for my side deck was like the 3rd Veiler. I considered siding Grand Mole, but I wasn't sure what I was going to put it in against, so I didn't waste a spot. and then Smashing Ground. So I wasn't sure if I wanted a third spell monster removal, like 2 Soul Taker, 1 Smashing Ground. If I'm maining 2 Soul Taker, this might have a spot in the side. But I think maybe a third Shadow Mirror or a third Veiler would go in. Veiler should probably be in the main deck to begin with. Like, if I had my Guaibas like I wanted, I think the main deck would not have had the Thunder Kings, right? Because you don't want to clog in too many normal summons. So you put the Guaibas in, you have to take out more normals. So I think Thunder King would have been moved to the side. And then if I thought this was going to be a tournament where people were actually on windups, which I think is the best deck, I think Veiler would be in the main, and I think I'd have 3 of them, right? So I've got 3 Veiler, 2 Max C. I'd probably take Gores out and move it to the side, because Gores doesn't stop you getting hand looped. D Fisher would be in the side also, I think. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 39 cards with 3 Guaibas is 42, which wasn't uncommon. I think there were some YCS winning deck lists that had 42 cards in it. I'm not sure what I'd take out if I wanted to try and cut it down to 40, but I'd have to do math before I decided if I actually wanted to really try and figure out the worst card. But then your side's kind of looking more like we've got Gores, we got Kaiku, 2 D Fisher, 2 Thunder King, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I'm not sure if we need the Snowman Eater, but so 3 Shadow Mirror is 10, 11, 12. So I got 3 spots left for the remaining. I think if this is 42 without the second Soul Taker, then I'm thinking maybe we should at least side 1 more, which means these are out, right? There's just no more room for them, even though they might be important. There's nothing really cuttable here either to fit this in, because if I like all 15 cards of these, I think the most cuttable is probably Utopia Ray. But if I'm cutting one, I'm putting in a Stardust Dragon for Starlight Road, right? So maybe this, and then like the 2 Snowman Eater to round it out. Might be able to sacrifice a Shadow Mirror for the 3rd Lance, just because I'm already playing 2 macro, and then if I'm siding in Shadow Mirror going first, I'm probably also siding in D Fisher, right? So that's 6 Floodgates. So maybe that's enough going first. So maybe you only need 2 instead of 3. But yeah, that was the deck list that I won the April 2012 tournament with. Alright, so as you can see, it wasn't the ideal list, but it got the job done, and hopefully I can actually get the cards I need for the next tournament. I was running around trying to find Zen Mighties that whole tournament so I could hand loop people, and nobody had them, so I played Dino Rabbit instead, which worked out for me. But I still don't think Rabbit was the best deck at that time. But going forward, we're going to look at a September 2012 list. This is actually a November list from YCS Seattle. I believe it's Joe Girlando. And the list had 2 big hits for Rabbit. It was Rabbit to 2 and Tour Guide to 2. So the game was already tough when you're drawing your normals more than you're drawing your Rabbit, and now we're seeing Rabbit a little bit less and Tour Guide a little bit less. So I do think Guaiba becomes even more essential than it was to have. So if I play Rabbit for this September 2012 tournament, I'll be looking for Guaibas even more than I was. I think Thunder King is a less substitutable normal summon for this list. Not much is different. You can see the trap lineup added compulse. Everything else is the same. 3 lance when I was only playing 2. I took a 3rd lance out because I was trying to cut it as close to 40 as possible. 2 MST, 2 Soul Taker. And this is a format that has Shockmaster. So when you're going second, you have to play a wide variety of outs to Shockmaster, right? So I think you have to have a heavy trap lineup so you can set a lot into a Shockmaster board, and I think that might be one of the reasons Compulse was added, because if they don't call traps, then you can out the Shockmaster on the following turn. If they call spells, then you have to wait a turn by either setting traps or setting monsters. If they call monsters, which, if you know what deck you're playing, I don't know. I don't remember too much of the format, so I don't know what the correct call blind is. It is probably monsters, because if you're in a wind-up mirror and you call monsters, they out the Shockmaster if they draw the board wipe here, but then they can't really play. So if they call monsters and you can't do anything, yeah, you might be able to out the Shockmaster with the Dark Holes and the Soul Takers, but then you can't play that turn, so it's important not to get killed. So that's why you didn't minimize the trap lineup. Even going second, you have to have stuff set. And now you see a Night Assailant and 2 Spirit Reaper. There are a lot of lists that are playing Snowman Eater also in the main deck. And that also helps going second against Shockmaster, because if you don't draw an out to Shockmaster, they're going to be able to use it again on their next turn. And then you're looking at, okay, if I have a monster and I have traps, what are they going to call? Are they going to call a monster to avoid the Night Assailant and then attack into a D Prison, or are they going to call traps to avoid the D Prison and attack into a Night Assailant or a Snowman Eater? So you kind of have to play outs to Shockmaster in all 3 varieties, because that's the best way to play around it going second. So I really like this list of this format when you're playing second. I think it's possible that Snowman Eater might be a better substitute than Spirit Reaper. But if you don't draw the trap out, that means if they call monsters, your Snowman Eater is dead, and you don't have a way to survive, most likely. So if they call monsters, Spirit Reaper is a little bit better, because they just can't out it, period. Whereas they can just attack through a Snowman Eater. Other than that, the only thing that's changed a little bit is the extra deck. So Roach is no longer as necessary because Chaos Dragons took a pretty big hit with the Future Fusion ban. So now we have a spot for Stardust Dragon on the Starlight Road. And then the other changes, minus Utopia Ray. He played Cowboy for the November tournament. There are some Rabbit players who are playing Shockmaster. So if you go first and you draw a Dino on one of the normals, you summon it, pass, protect it with traps, you draw again, you have a Guaiba. You can summon the Guaiba, attack a monster, summon another Guaiba, and then you have 3 4s. You can leave one on board and summon Lagi or Dolka, or you could go into a Shockmaster, which some Rabbit players were doing, just because the nature of some of your opening turns, if you open the Guaiba or if you open the normals, you're sticking a vanilla on board and you're trying to protect it for follow-up in case you top another 4. If that another 4 you top is Rabbit or Guaiba, then you can go into Shockmaster instead of one of the other ones, and you can just blow out your opponent. I think it's probably correct to commit a spot to Shockmaster. I'm not sure which spot that would be. My gut tells me that Cowboy might be one of the weakest ones. I don't hate not playing Stardust Dragon. I think Starlight Road is good even without summoning the Stardust off of it, but it still might be worth playing and cutting something else. Those are my two biggest picks, I think, for cutting for Shockmaster. So other decks in this format, so this is the limited list that happens in September. So as you can see, Future Fusion got hit. Inzektor Dragonfly and Inzektor Hornet both got limited. Red MD got limited. Zen Mighty got limited. So big hits to all the top decks. Arguably Rabbit got hurt the least, with only Rabbit to 2 and Tour Guide to 2. So you still see some Inzektors, you still see some windups, but it leans heavily more toward decks that can play Shockmaster. Of the decks that won YCSs in this format, if we go over this tab, starting in September 2019 and going all the way until we get to the Mermail winning, you have Windup, Inzektor, Windup, Rabbit, Rabbit. I don't know what deck Peter Gross played because that was the YCS that they were testing the Battle Pack sealed top cut. Yeah, the only exceptions were Hero, Sam, and Geargia in the middle there until Mermail started winning things in 2013. It was Shockmaster.deck. So, yep, this is the new list that we have for Rabbit. We'll be looking forward to more content over the next month and a half. We're going to be taking a look at Edison format. We're going to be taking a look at this one more closely, September 2012. And then we're going to look at one of my favorites that I'm excited for, the Germany YCS in 2016 that Billy Brake won with Metal Foes, because this was just after the release of Invasion of Vengeance with Totally Awesome, with the Metal Foes fusions, and Mithrilium and Alcahest and the quick play. So I'm really excited to go more in depth into that format. And now we're going to watch me get scraped in 2014 by our good friend Joey Miskowiec. All right, what's up, guys? So we're playing some 2014. We're getting ready for next week's local Twin Cities Metro tournament of 2014 Nats. So I've got my trusty hat deck, and Joey is playing a Dragon Ruler variant. I lose RPS, so he goes first. Starts off with Gold Sark for Redox to get the Earth because he has the water. So he's giving him the rank 8 option, but he opts for Curry Bandit Torrential. He's saving that for follow-up, and he gets the Soul Charge. I go in. I do see a monster, but it's not a good one, so I take the Blackhorn. The Ice Hand's significantly worse against this deck than I would like it to be. So we set 5 and we pass turn. And he knows the Blackhorn, so he's going to be playing around it a little bit. Starts off with Sacred Sword to dig for more lines of play since he's got to play in a 5 back row. Draws double Dragon Shrine, which isn't great because it can only be used once per turn. He's going to start off holding the Soul Charge and making the rank 8 play. He knows I have the Blackhorn, so instead of summoning Felgrand, instead of wasting a Felgrand, he's hoping I use the Blackhorn on this. However, I also have the Bottomless. So Bottomless the first play. He Dragon Shrines. And he Soul Charges for 5. So this puts me in a good spot. I have Torrential, so if I top a monster just because I have Sanctum set, I can summon Moral Talk in the end phase, and then just top a monster to win the game. So, any monster in my deck. I'm feeling really good right about here. My Torrential. He knows I have Horn. He doesn't know what the other two are. He summons the title. Thinks he's cool, going battle phase with Soul Charge. And then he spooked me. In the end phase, I do the play. Here we go. Summon Moral Talk. I'm thinking any monster wins me the game. And what do? I draw a monster. But it is not one that wins me the game. Super unfortunate. Attack for 21. Set it pass. So I've got Trap Tricks and Black Horn. Not great. He activates his second Dragon Shrine that he drew off of the Sacred Sword last turn. He's now got access to 2 of the rulers. The other 2 are banished. And he returns them. I believe he starts with an 8 Spark. I let Spark go because it's not like the worst thing he can summon on me that just ends the game. So I feel like I have to hold the Black Horn. I let that go through too because I'm not sure if Black Horning that one No, I can't. I can't negate that one. That's why. Yeah, it's a Star Eater. Singer Summon can't be negated. Go through, top an Ice Hand. He summons, goes to battle phase, can attack for game here. I should scoop any second. Because 4,900 is game. Yep. Alright, so I go first this time. Open much better, I think. Start with Duality. I get Myrmilio, get myself another trap. I set 4. I searched Deep Dark this time just because it felt right. He's digging, he's digging. And he doesn't really have a lot of plays into my back row. So he's just... I'm not sure why he's not doing Curry Bandit here. I'm thinking maybe he doesn't want to mill and give away that he's playing Decree, but it's not really super relevant. Grab the Fire Hand. Get pushed in. And unfortunately, I have no out to Royal Decree. I sided out my MSTs because I wasn't really thinking, and I was like, this is a bad card against them. So I have the Max T here. I can try and dig. Ice Hand outs Decree, usually, but he accidentally made a Stardust Dragon. He meant Spark. So... he's going back, and on attack deck, he's activating Spark Dragon to protect itself, of course. So I took the 900, Fire Hand, can activate, but it did not destroy the target, so it does not summon the ice hand. And attacking with the ice hand doesn't do anything into a spark. So I have to almost wait for like another hand to even do anything. I'm hoping I draw a hand here because then I can out the decree either way, no matter which hand I draw. Because if I draw fire, I can go into the next ice. If I draw ice, I can just crash both ice, and I have enough life points for either. I draw max C instead, so I pass. I really need to dig for a hand. He soul charges here, so I max C, so I think I'm only going to get... I think he just passes here. I don't think he does anything with the soul charge. Yeah. So I draw a dark hole. So now this puts him on the... no, it doesn't, because dark hole doesn't trigger the ice hand. Yeah, we both made a misplay there. We forgot that Ice Hand doesn't trigger by my Dark Hole. So it didn't change the outcome because of Spark. But no, what I should have maybe done there... No, I don't think it mattered, right? If I crash, he still protects the decree, and then I just Dark Hole anyway. So it doesn't super matter. And now I lose. It's super unfortunate. Now we know not to side out our MSTs against the Dragon variants because of cards like Decree and Skill Drain. So there we have it. We can fast forward through him just OTKing me with a bunch of very good cards. So that's that. Fun times, getting very quickly scraped. And hopefully the end result of the tournament is not that next week. So we'll see you guys next time.